What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Inside the Ropes. We are going to talk about the light heavyweight fights on tonight. Bit of a preview, my predictions. You got Adonis Stevenson rematching with Andres Fonfara. A fight that Stevenson won by unanimous decision, but was an incredibly entertaining fight. And a fight where Stevenson was in trouble a few times in that fight against Fonfara. And then we have, on the opening card, we have Alvarez defending his WBC silverweight title against Pascal, a former lineal champion at light heavyweight. Looking up Alvarez, I did a little bit of research on him. Really unknown, fought a bunch of guys that nobody really heard of until he fought Lucian Bute, who he TKOs in the 5th round to get the WBC silver light heavyweight title. And, you know, that's nothing to sneeze at. It's really not. Lucian Bute is a hell of a fighter who's had an amazing career and is coming off of back-to-back losses. However, he was amazing in both fights. He really put on great shows. And the guys he lost to in Badu Jack and James DeGale, they're no joke either. They were both on a roll when they came to meet him, setting up for a super middleweight clash against each other. And Bute really gave them all they can handle. So Alvarez going in there, putting on the show he put on, and finishing Lucian Bute in the 5th round is nothing to sneeze at. This will be a big test for him, though. This will be the biggest fight of his career so far. Pascal, like I said, is a former lineal champion. He has a win over Bute. He's got wins over some of the top guys in the sport. He's a big guy. He's a power puncher. The question is, what does Pascal have left at this point? You know, in his last 5 performances, I did my homework here. His last performance, he TKO'd Romero in the 3rd round. Romero, not a big known light heavyweight, not one of the guys you talk about as one of the top in the sport. However, you know, it was a win's a win, especially when you're trying to get back in the win column. He also, you know, but besides that win over Romero, he had a unanimous decision against, I'm not even going to try and destroy his first name, against Gonzalez, who was another little-known light heavyweight at the time, really getting his chance to make big. He gave Pascal all he could handle. Pascal got the unanimous decision. But then besides that, in his last 5, again, he's got a draw with Bolentini, a very unknown light heavyweight, and then he's been stopped twice by Kovalev. You know, and it kind of gets to the point where you're sitting here wondering, what does Pascal have left? You know, he stopped twice by Kovalev. He lost to Bernard Hopkins. He's 34 years old now. How much does he have left? Can he go in there one more time and against a young, hungry light heavyweight who is coming off the biggest win of his young career and is now being put in an even bigger fight? Can Pascal find enough to go in there and get the win? You know, I don't know. The Pascal I saw against Kovalev both times was very unimpressive. He had his moments, sure, but more than not in those 15 rounds they shared together, Kovalev dominated 14 of them, if not all 15. It was very one-sided affair. I know Sergey Kovalev's a different monster, don't get me wrong. Kovalev's one of my favorite fighters right now. But it's going to really depend on Alvarez and how good he really is at this point. Because it seems like Pascal is still good enough to beat just, you know, good fighters. Solid, good light heavyweights. Pascal can get around now. The elite guys, the top level light heavyweights, it doesn't look like Pascal can hang with them anymore. So if Alvarez is going to be elite, this is his chance to prove it. Because if he can beat Pascal, it'll catapult him into that spot. And it might even set him up for a future showdown with Adonis Stevenson. I'm really unsure about this fight. Pascal has been inconsistent, to say the least, as of late. But I'm going to go with my gut on this one, and I'm going to go with Pascal and say that, you know, the TKO in the 3rd round of Romello, he's working with Roy Jones Jr. He's adapting his game and changing things and using his athleticism a bit more these days. So I'm going to say, you know, Eldar Alvarez in his biggest fight of his career, really, against a very tough Pascal, he's just going to come up a bit short. I think Pascal takes this one. I'm going to say decision. It could even be one of those nights where Pascal dominates like 7-8 rounds, and then all of a sudden he's surviving the end of the fight. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Pascal. I'm going to go with the experience on this one. A guy who's been at the top of the light heavyweight division now for a long time and has fought the best and beaten the best and lost to the best. But I still think tonight he gets the job done, which will probably set up him and Stevenson going forward. Now the main event, Adonis Stevenson defending his light heavyweight title against Andres Fonfara. Stevenson is, man, he's such an enigma to me. He really is. Because he looks like the real deal. Serious one-punch knockout power. You know, a devastating guy who took out the champ at the time, Chad Dawson, with one punch. Boom, one shot, knockout, fight's over, we're done. The problem for me with Adonis Stevenson is who he's fought since he won that title. You know, you look at his last 5 fights. He beat Thomas Williams Jr. He beat Thomas Carpence. He KO'd both of them, but you know, Williams Jr. is a 20-3 light heavyweight that not a lot of people talk about. Carpente's a guy that's been around a long time and is a solid light heavyweight, but he's more of an opponent than anything else. Anybody time he stepped up to face an elite level fighter, he's been destroyed. Saki Obika, who's been around forever, always been a solid guy at whatever weight class he was at. You know, Stevenson got the decision over him. Then Sakotsky, again, a guy that not most of us would know if you talked up to us and said, hey, you know, ever hear that fighter Sakotsky, light heavy? You know, most of us would be like, no, I never heard of him. His record was 23-5, and then the decision went over Fonfara. You know, he's defended the title in all these fights, but against who? And, you know, to say that there's nobody out there to fight is a lie, because Kovalev's fought in Hopkins. He's fighting Ward again. You know, he's fought Nathan Cleverly. Kovalev has fought the best he could find. It feels like, to me, Adonis Stevenson is fighting guys he knows he can beat. And he knows he can put on a show against. The Fonfara fight is an interesting one, though. Fonfara gets his second chance at the title. Luckily for him, because after that loss to Joe Williams, I thought he was done. He gets KO'd in the first round by the guy who would go on to destroy Bernard Hopkins. And maybe that's what helped Fonfara, was the fact that Williams went on and knocked out Bernard Hopkins. So everybody said, oh, well, it wasn't, you know, Fonfara being exposed. It was Joe Williams as a hell of a puncher. But Fonfara did rebound from that loss. He came back, fought former champion Chad Dawson, and got the TKO against Dawson in the 10th round, if I remember correctly, to set up this fight with Adonis Stevenson. Listen, man, the first fight was excellent. It really was. It was a tremendous fight. Great back and forth action. Adonis Stevenson early on was really on point. He knocked Fonfara down 3 times. The body work by Stevenson was amazing in that fight. He got 2 knockdowns in the fight just off body shots. Really an impressive showing by Adonis early on. And then Fonfara comes on late and gets a knockdown and has Stevenson in all kinds of trouble late in that fight. And, you know, Adonis Stevenson is not a young light heavyweight. He's getting up there now. And Fonfara is a guy who, he brings it. No matter what's going on, he's going to come forward, he's going to attack, he's going to let his punches go. And that can work for him and against him in this fight. Adonis Stevenson is a big puncher and a good counter puncher. You know, if Fonfara leaves himself open, one shot can end the night. But at the same token, Stevenson is a knockout puncher. He's a guy who likes to get out of there early. if Fonfara can keep the pressure up and maybe, you know, get him to where he had him in that last fight, but this time know that he's got to turn on the gas. You know, it felt like in that first fight, Fonfara was really nervous about Stevenson's power because he had been hurt and knocked down so many times that he stopped really letting his hands go. This fight, I mean, for Fonfara, you got to know this is it. You lose to Stevenson twice, I don't see you getting another title shot for a long time. So Fonfara's got to know his back's against the wall and really push things tonight and go after Stevenson and do whatever, man. If you're going to lose tonight, lose, get knocked out. Go out on your shield. At least then we'll know you gave it everything you had. Because this is probably his last shot at a light heavyweight title for a while. So, yeah, again, this is another one that's, you know, the logical pick here is Adonis Stevenson. He's been rolling through these guys. He's been fighting. He's already beaten Fonfara. He hurt him quite a few times when they fought. But, man, Fonfara just has that something. You know, I know he lost to Joe Williams with a first-round knockout. But Fonfara's just got that kind of, you know, almost like that Arturo Gatti toughness. Like, he just comes forward, wants to fight, willing to trade. And guys like that, you can never count them out because they're going to push you. They're going to make you fight. And anything can happen when an all-out war opens up in that ring. But I'm going to go with Adonis Stevenson. I think he's got too much power for Fonfara. And that seems to be Fonfara's one weakness is against power punchers. You know, Joe Williams knocked him out. Adonis Stevenson knocked him down 3 times already. I think Stevenson's going to come in good shape, ready to go. He's going to put his power punches together. And I don't know if he gets Fonfara out of there, but I do think he gets the win. And I already predicted that I think Pascal is going to get the win. And I think the way Showtime's kind of angling this one, the reason they're fighting on the same night, is that they're hoping they both get the win, and then they can set up a title fight between Pascal and Stevenson, both from Canada. Probably have the fight over in Canada. It'll be a huge showing. A ton of fans will be there screaming, and you know, it's, to me though, it's not a big deal to me, even if they both do win and they set up the fight between each other, because to me, the two best light heavyweights in the world are fighting on HBO in a month or two when they put in Ward Kovalev too. Those are the 2 best light heavyweights in the world, in my opinion. Adonis Stevenson has ducked and avoided Kovalev for years now. So now, instead of it being him up there having maybe a rematch with Kovalev and setting up what could be a trilogy that everybody talks about for years to come, it's Andre Ward in there doing it. So this is kind of like side B. This is kind of like the other guys in the division that people really don't talk about anymore. I mean, I know Adonis Stevenson, he's entertaining to watch because of his knockout power, but that doesn't do me any good when you're not fighting the best guys out there. So, again, I pick Pascal to win tonight. I'm picking Adonis to win tonight. And I think it sets up a Stevenson-Pascal match down the road for Adonis Stevenson's light heavyweight title. That pretty much does it for the card tonight. Real quick, I told you guys that I would do my top 5 lists in my next video. That I would do a top 5 pound for pound and a top 5 Gatti list, something that they do over on HBO, where they list who they think are the most entertaining fighters in boxing, guys who embody that Arturo Gatti spirit, guys who could care less about wins and losses. They just go in there because they love to go to war and they want to show you that they are a warrior in there. So I'll start with my pound for pound list first, because I think the Gatti list is more important to me personally as a fight fan. I appreciate the guys on the Gatti list a lot more than I do anybody else. So my pound for pound list. At number 5, I have a draw, if you will. Terrence Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Why do I have this a draw? Okay. Terrence Bud Crawford, who's coming off of a win recently, is, to me, one of the most skilled fighters in boxing right now, period. He might be the most skilled. He is dominant against whoever he gets in there with. You know, Gamboa, Beltran, Whoever he's been in there with, he has been absolutely dominant from start to finish. Postal, I mean, he's absolutely obliterated whoever he's gotten in there with. I think the only thing that stops Crawford from being a definite top 5 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport right now is the lack of names to his resume. And I think he's going to eliminate that doubt real soon. I only see him fighting maybe one more time at 140, and that's only if he gets the chance to unify the titles. Maybe then he hangs around just to do that. If not, I see him moving up to 147 to start challenging guys up there, and that would be phenomenal to me. I think Crawford with any of those guys, Spence, Brook, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, you name them, I think Crawford is an amazing matchup for any one of those guys. And I look forward to seeing him when he does go up there and how good he can be. On the other side of this, you got Canelo Alvarez. A guy who gets overlooked on a lot of pound-for-pound lists. However, it's not something I really understand. I know he lost to Mayweather, but besides that, Canelo's beaten everybody we've put in front of him. He's fought anybody who would get in the ring with them. Canelo's never backed down from a fight. He even fought guys like Erislandy Lara that nobody wants to fight because it's hard to look good against Lara, you know? So, you know, he's got wins over Cotto, over Mosley, over James Kirkland, over Erislandy Lara, over Chavez Jr. now, which, whatever. He's going to fight Gennady Golovkin at middleweight. I think Canelo's a bit underrated. I mean, I know he's a big draw and the fans love him, but as far as the boxing experts of the world go, I feel like they kind of overlook Canelo and what he's actually accomplished in this sport so far and what's still possible for him. I know he's fighting Golovkin at middleweight, but I would love to see Canelo actually move back down in weight and get in there with maybe some of those guys at welterweight at maybe a junior middleweight showdown. You know, maybe fight Kell Brook at junior middleweight or, you know, Keith Thurman or somebody. I would love to see him in there with some of those guys, and Canelo can do it. I think he can even make welterweight if he wanted to. He's not that much bigger than those guys, and I think they would all be entertaining fights. So that's why I have Crawford and Canelo in my number 5 spot right now. I think they both deserve to be on this list, and I didn't want to keep either one of them off the list. At number 4, I've got Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev, even though he lost to Andre Ward, I didn't think he lost. I thought he won. And I wanted to put him higher on this list, but since he lost to Andre Ward, I'm kind of like torn between his record and all that stuff. But Kovalev is an absolute monster, man. And I love Sergey Kovalev. He's one of my top 3 favorite fighters to watch right now. I can't wait to see the rematch with him and Ward. I think Kovalev comes out even more aggressive, even more hungry to get Andre Ward out of there and prove to the world that he is one of the best fighters in the world, period. Number 3, Gennady Golovkin. And I know some doubts creeped into people's minds with his last 2 performances. Kell Brook landed some pretty good shots on him before he got stopped. And then Daniel Jacobs looked pretty good against Golovkin in a losing effort. But, I mean, Jacobs was virtually a friggin' cruiserweight in that fight, man. He looked huge. It took a really big man to get in there with Gennady Golovkin to stop that knockout streak. And Gennady, since he's got on the scene, he has consistently fought the best guys available at middleweight. And he's defeated them. He's fought anybody who would step up to fight him, really. I know all the things out there with him and Ward, that he avoided Ward and Ward avoided him. I don't care about the gossip columns. I don't care about the rumors. I care about what you do when you get in a boxing ring. And when Gennady gets in the ring, he destroys whoever's in front of him. Plain and simple. And I don't understand the comments I've heard about, oh, well, if he thinks he's that great, he should move up. He should move up and wait. Since when is it not good enough to be a dominant champion? Heavyweights don't ever move from their position. They stay in the heavyweight division, they get the title, and they dominate. Light heavyweights very rarely go up in weight class. Very rarely do we see that happen. You know, some guys do if they're big enough to do it, but most of the time, light heavyweight is where they stay. And they're dominant light heavyweight champions if they are for a long time. You know, why do we feel the need that being a dominant champion is not enough? Bernard Hopkins is the perfect example of this. Hopkins had 20, I think it's 21 defenses of his middleweight title before he finally lost it to Jermaine Taylor. Dominant middleweight champion. Had the most defenses of that title ever. And it wasn't until Bernard moved up in weight class and started beating guys at super middleweight and at light heavyweight that he really got the credit he deserved. But why? He was one of the most dominant middleweight champions of all times. Why was that not enough? So to me, Gennady Golovkin belongs on this list at number 3. Number 2, Vasily Lomachenko. Lomachenko can easily be your number 1, and I would understand it. The guy is the most skilled fighter in the world today, period. Period. I've never seen somebody with the hand speed he has, the foot move. I mean, he's the total package. And in only, 9 fights already, he's mentioned in this category. We've never seen anything like this before. The only thing that stops me from putting Lomachenko at number 1 is I want to see him in there with just a couple more big names, and I want to see him do this for a little longer. Because the man I have at number 1, even though I think he lost to Kovalev, but he was given the win, is Andre Ward. And my reason for putting Ward at the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now is because he was number 2 for a long time behind Mayweather. I know he had a long time off because of promotional issues or whatever, but he came back, won, got in there with Kovalev, got the win. You got to give a guy like Ward credit, even if you think he lost that fight. He's been on the top for so long now, hasn't lost since he was like in high school or something like that. So I'm giving Andre Ward my number 1 pound-for-pound spot. Not that he'll care, but still, I'm saying Ward's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Now, to close out the video, I'll give you my Gatti's list real quick. And again, this is the guys that I feel like are the blood and guts warriors in the sport today. First, I'll read you off where HBO had theirs. I pretty much agree with HBO's list, but I don't agree in the order they had them in. HBO had it Canelo at number 5, Roman Gonzalez at number 4, Sergey Kovalev at number 3, Gennady Golovkin at number 2, and Anthony Joshua at number 1. And I understand HBO's excitement over Joshua. It's been a long time since we've had an exciting heavyweight on the scene. But my list will go more like this. Canelo's fine at number 5. He's a entertaining, blood and guts kind of guy when he wants to be, but there's times where he'll go into that counter-puncher mode and lure you into traps, and which is fine. It's entertaining still, but that's why I have him at number 5, really. Number 4 for me is Anthony Joshua. He gave us an amazing show against Vladimir Klitschko, something we've all been dying to see. And he is a come forward, let your hands go heavyweight who looks for the knockout. But I can't put him at number 1 because of one knockdown, drag-out brawl with a great heavyweight champion. Not when there's guys on this list who have been doing this for years now. So I put Joshua at number 4. Number 3, I leave Kovalev there. Sergey Kovalev's resume speaks for itself. Sergey knows one direction. Coming straight at you and letting his hands go. And whatever happens is whatever happens. If it's a war, it's a war. He don't care. My guy at number 2 would be well, I'm sorry. Yeah, my guy at number 2, I kind of blanked out for a minute there, would be Roman Chocnacito Gonzalez. I know he lost in his last fight. I thought he won. And it was a candidate for Fight of the Year in a loss. I can't fault the guy for a fight like that. Not on this list. on a pound-for-pound list, you can fault him for that. And I think that's how he fell off my pound-for-pound list. But you cannot fault him on a Gatti list for a fight that's a potential fight of the year. That was an absolute war. Blood streaming down his face, and he's still out there, still going forward, still trying to get the win. I thought he won, but hey, it happens. This is boxing. We've seen worse. So I put Gonzalez at number 2. And at number 1, I have Gennady Golovkin, because Golovkin definitely embraces that Mexican style of fighting. Come forward, let your hands go to war. Who cares what the other guy does, what he's throwing at you? Who cares if he picks up a friggin' Buick and hits you in the face with it? You keep coming forward, you keep throwing your shots, and eventually you're going to hit him with something that's going to finish him. So to me, that's my Gatti list. Again, quick rundown because I friggin' froze in the middle there for some reason. Sorry about that. Number 1, Gennady Golovkin. Number 2, Roman Choclacito Gonzalez. Number 3, Sergey Kovalev. Number 4, Anthony Joshua. And number 5, Canelo Alvarez. That's pretty much it. I'll do a short video after the fight, just recapping what the fights were like, who won, who lost, where I think we're going from here. Thank you guys who do watch these videos, whether there's a lot of you or not. This is really something I am hoping turns into something eventually, because it's something I'm trying to do for my daughter and make something out of myself, show her that daddy's doing something that's cool, you know. I have a very serious condition called NF2. It's a series of tumors that run along nerve endings, and because of that, working your normal 9-to-5 jobs are not that easy. I have surgeries and stuff like that that come in the way. So doing something like this is really my one chance to leave something behind for my daughter. So I'm giving it my best shot, and you know, hopefully you guys like them. If you don't, I understand. But hey, man, in this day and age now with social media and all that stuff out there, you just got to give it your best shot when you can. So again, thank you to everybody who does watch the videos, and for the people subscribing to the page so far. It's been a slow movement, but you know, who knows, man. I'll just keep plugging away, and hopefully we'll get there one day. Inside the Ropes, signing out, guys. Thank you.